Hey everybody, this is Stick Vet, your friendly neighborhood veteran, and this is part 12 of the Warriors Reflection series. While I might give meat and blankets to the elders or food to the children, I would not be able to feel the goodness of these actions. That I would do these things out of a habit, and not from a place of caring. This stance goes hand in hand with the last stance. They warned me it would be as though my emotions were locked up, and I would be cold in my heart and not remember the ways of caring for others. I discussed in the last video, this is talking about emotional numbing and adrenaline manipulation, although there is another aspect from war or trauma experience. This emotional disconnect we develop, I would say, widens with repeated use of mental disassociations from trauma. Every time you had to disassociate from the horrors of battle in order to react in accordance to your training adds up. Each time it takes you one step away from your connection with any of your emotions. Depending on your experience and the intensity of your disassociation technique, this gap between you and feeling your emotions can be a hole or a grand chasm. And the path of cleansing could take years. Now, this is different from most other aspects of cleansing on this path. Many times there is a habit that you can establish in a few months that will develop a full change in an aspect of your growth. It can take a few weeks or months to instill a new belief structure and let go of an unhealthy one. And there are cascading effects of growth where every step you take makes the following growth that much easier and sometimes faster. So when it comes to trying to connect with deep emotions like joy, many of my brothers have tried, but got discouraged and see their efforts as failures because, in truth, it takes so much longer than they tried. It takes longer than you would try and succeed in other aspects. This is a poem from my old cleansing journal. The Hollow. There is a hole carved deep into the core of my being. When my heart beats with furious love, it echoes with emptiness, and that void is all I feel. When the thrill of life would excite me, all the joy drains into its nothingness, as if that nothing is what's real. There is a hole, and it swallows up all of my meaning. Hollow. Cleansing. You have to reverse the process that you already went through. You got here by training for and living in a threatening environment over a long duration, and it takes a similar amount of practice to unravel the disassociation technique that you learned, developed, and made automatic. The treatment is to commit to practice of old hobbies that you used to enjoy, and attempting to feel it while doing that activity at a normal level. The science behind it is to convince the brain that it's not going to get the drug of threat to life in order to release dopamine. Fake it till you feel it. Very similar to treatments for extreme drug recovery, learning to have fun without using drugs can take a long time. In fact, I see a big parallel between heroin addiction recovery and the years it takes for them to feel like a normal person again, to get normal dopamine in their life. The stories I've heard of their recovery are so similar to the veteran mentors I've known who have done this work, climbing the red road. For me, I would sit with my children and attempt to be present, mostly pretending to be okay while the storm of anxiety whirled in my head. Years of pretending to feel happy and go through the motions of being present with my kids, with no feeling. And that every time created a storm of self-hate that I had to go through for being a failure as a father. But because I was just hollow. Slowly, I kept at it, and slowly happiness came. And then I learned to allow myself to feel love, and later allow myself to feel joy. But there was years of work, not months. In the end, my biggest barrier was myself. The joy I have now whenever my children and I spend time together is something that I absolutely convinced myself I would never feel. That was a shadow belief that I had to let go of. There are a few times I saw a big difference in my ability to feel, and that was after doing the full trauma processing with a counselor of my own, dealing with my own major traumas. The moments that I created larger gaps in my disconnection. For me, it was the times I had to do remains recovery during my deployment. Obviously, a moment I needed to disassociate from and handle in a calm and responsible manner. It was rare, but each incident dug this hole bigger. I felt it happen in the moment, like I shut something off in my mind, and when I turned the breakers back on, not all of them came back on. I needed to find resolution to my major trauma in order to bring back an emotional stability and health, and I still had to do all the work, but there were big chunks taken out during a short time. So part of this cleansing is much longer trek than most others. And during that journey, there is a moment that's like climbing a cliff that will make some good progress, but it's also one of the most difficult parts of the path and one of the longest. We are climbing the same mountain, but it's your path that you choose. Stick to it. This is Stick Vet, signing off.